This video is on Lesson 17, exercises 1 through 3 in the Grade 7 Module 3 book, found on page, what page is this? 102. 102. All right, so in this one, they're going to ask us 3 questions, exercises 1 through 3, getting us ready to come up with the formula for the area of a circle. So the first thing they're going to talk about, or they're asking us to do, is to find the radius of a circle if its circumference is 37.68 inches. And they want us to use 3.14 for pi. So for this, you got to remember what circumference is. Circumference is the distance around a circle. So how to get all the way around the circle. The radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge. So for circumference, we know circumference starts with c, so c equals, and then we remember that the original equation we came up with that was that circumference can be found by taking d, the diameter, and multiplying it by pi. Now the thing is this equation right here doesn't have any mention of the radius. So we also want to remember that d for diameter equals 2 times the radius, right? The diameter is twice as long as the radius. So that means that here, instead of d is the same thing as 2 times r, the radius, we're going to put 2 times r instead of d. So we put this whole thing in instead. And it's still being multiplied by pi. So to find the circumference, you do c equals 2 times the radius times pi. So this is the equation we want to go with. Let's go ahead and start using it. It tells us the circumference is 37.68 inches. So instead of c, I'm going to put 37.68 inches. I'll just put 37.68. Over here, we have 2 times r times, now I'm going to put in the number they tell us to use for pi, which is 3.14. All right. So for my next line, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shorten each side up as much as possible. So this side, this left side, 37.68, that's just a number. We can't really shorten that up any more than it is right now. But on the other side here, I have 2 times r. I don't know what r is, but then I'm multiplying that by 3.14. So I remember that with multiplication, I can change the order of it. Instead of doing 2 multiplied by r first, I could do 2 multiplied by 3.14 first, which is something I can actually do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So 2 times 3.14 gives me 6.28. And I have times r right after it. So there we go. Now to find the radius, which is what they're asking us to do, it says right up here, find the radius. Well, the radius is r. So I want to get r all by itself. That means I have to move 6.28. Well, since 6.28 is being multiplied by r, I can move it by using division and dividing by 6.28. So that will cancel it out. I'll be left with r, but I have to remember what I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other, the same exact thing. So I have to divide this side by 6.28. So on this side, that cancels out. I'll put my equal sign. R is left on this side. Then on the other side, it's 37.68 divided by 6.28 will give me 6. So my radius, right here, I have 6 equals r. We'll say the radius is 6, and the original measurement was in inches, so our radius is in inches. So the radius is 6 inches. All right, there we go. So just a little reminder how to find circumference in that first exercise there. The second exercise is, it says determine the area of the rectangle below. Name two ways that can be used to find the area of a rectangle. So something you have to remember is that the area is talking about the space inside. So big difference between circumference and area. Big difference between perimeter and area. Circumference or perimeter is the distance around the outside. Area is the space inside. So if I was going to highlight it, the space inside is all of this, a measurement of how big it is on the inside. So a couple ways I could do that. I'll explain kind of the first way to think about it. Then we'll come up with a formula that's easier. The space inside, well, the space inside is measured up by these little squares. And we're thinking, how many of these little squares does it take to fill in the entire, in this case, rectangle? Well, something to look at, we know that, well, they tell us that this length is 4 centimeters and this length is 6 centimeters. And if you look, there's 4 boxes. So it's 4 boxes tall by 6 boxes wide. Each of these boxes right here, we'll take this one for example, is 1 centimeter tall by 1 centimeter wide. So the units we're measuring in is going to be 1 square centimeter. And that just means it's measured in squares that are 1 centimeter tall by 1 centimeter wide. We could look at this and we could just say, okay, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could just keep counting the squares until we have all of them counted up for, and that could tell us what our area is. But so that would be the first way. It's not so hard for this type of shape, but if we have a very large rectangle, or if we get into other shapes, which we will, like circles, we need a formula. So the formula for area of a rectangle is going to equal, let's kind of break it down. Something I notice is that we have 4 squares. The shape is 4 squares tall, and there are 6 columns of them. So we can just add 4 to itself 6 times. That's repeated addition. Repeated addition is multiplication. So the area can be found by taking the base and multiplying it by the height. So I'm going to abbreviate area of a rectangle just to A. Now the base is the distance, how wide something is from here to here. I notice in this case the base is 6 centimeters. The height is how tall something is from the bottom to the top. I know that's 4 centimeters. So the area of this shape is 6 times 4 is 24. Now remember, it also was 6 centimeters by 4 centimeters. You're multiplying something by itself, so area is measured in centimeters to the second power. Centimeters squared, because again, it's a square that measures 1 centimeter tall by 1 centimeter wide. So, little refresher on how to find the area of a rectangle there. Number 3, taking it one step further, says find the length of a rectangle if the area is 27 centimeters squared and the width is 3 centimeters. So, area, they told us the area of this rectangle. I know area is equal to B for base times H for height. I'm going to fill in my rough draft formula here. with numbers that they give me. So the area in this case is 27 centimeters squared, but I'll just leave it as 27 for now. And we'll put the units on at the end. Now it says the width is 3 centimeters. So if you think about your rectangle that they have here, they're saying that along the bottom is 3 centimeters. So from here to here is 3 centimeters. Well, that's the base. The base, therefore, is 3 times h. H is what we don't know. H is the other distance, the height from here up to here. I know they call it length right here. That's also known as the height. Sometimes it's called base and height, sometimes it's called length and width. The height is unknown, so we leave it as h. But the good news is we know how to find it now, because we know algebra. We know that we can get h alone by dividing each side by 3. So 9 equals h. So the height and again, this side was the height or the length. So the height is 9 centimeters.